Hi, it's Patrick Hutzel from intensivecareathome.com.au, where we provide tailor-made solutions for long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomy by improving their quality of life, and where we also provide tailor-made solutions to hospitals and intensive care units to save money and resources whilst providing quality care. In last week's blog I talked about from and with high-tech medicine to high-touch intensive home care services. You can check out last week's blog and last week's article by clicking on the link below this video. In this week's blog I want to talk about another real-world story that was in the public eye a couple of weeks ago. My 2-year-old son could die at any moment. Sarah Walton, a mother of 4, urged the South Australian Prime Minister to not cut help for her 2-year-old son Zachary, who's at home with a tracheostomy. I put a link to the petition Sarah Walton put up on change.org.au, and you can sign the petition there. You can read and see for yourself how the system is once again still failing either long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies, and you can also see how current service providers can't keep up with the skills and the knowledge that's required to keep long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies out of hospitals. It's also rather cynical to see that the government and the health system is failing people in need of specialized intensive home care nursing services. So, here's Sarah's petition. Premier Wetherill, don't cut help for our son, and urgently fix the neglect of tracheostomy patients in rural areas. So Sarah Walton from Mannum in South Australia puts up her petition, and she writes, "My 2-year-old son could die at any moment. That's the reality we live 24 hours, 7 days a week with his disabilities and fragile airway. But now the government has suddenly cancelled the 1 day in trained nursing support for our family. My son lives with a tracheostomy. It means his airway is compromised and could be obstructed at any moment. We have to monitor him around the clock. It's already highly stressful and exhausting, and the 1 day of respite care allowed us to get by. My husband has to work long hours so we can make ends meet while I care for Zachary and our 4 other children. This 1 day of trained help meant we could run errands. It's also the only time we could take him to the doctor. I can't drive alone with him because someone has to be making sure he's breathing. Without his help, he could die in the backseat of the car as I drive him to the doctor. It's devastating to lose this help. We feel trapped, isolated, extremely sleep deprived, stressed. We have no choice, no voice or support. And now the government seems to be walking away from helping us. Even more terrifying, living rurally, our hospital isn't trained to deal with emergencies for people with a tracheostomy like our son. We found out many rural hospitals aren't. It's a scary way to carry around, knowing that it's up to me to know what to do and keep my son alive. It's a weight parents of children with tracheostomies shouldn't have to bear just because they live in a rural area. It's not right. We can't easily just move. We own our home. We need to uproot our other children. We have family here. We have hopes and we have dreams and aspirations for our future in this town. We just want to be safely to be able to include our son in that future. I really need your help to change this decision to cut help to our family. All our doctors agree we need it. We've submitted all the forms and we have been patient, but I think they're just looking to save a few dollars by cutting support like this. This is my son's life at stake. It's also the lives of many other children with tracheostomy who are being ignored and neglected. Right now it seems like only a matter of time before the unthinkable happens and someone like my son dies because of the lack of training and help the government is giving to rural tracheostomy patients. I beg you to consider our situation and help by signing my petition asking Premier Wetherill to step in and restore the nursing help for our son and urgently fix the lack of training for rural hospitals in keeping tracheostomy patients alive. Kind regards, the Walton family. So, what are your thoughts? Do you think that state or federal governments and the health system in general is doing enough to get and then keep long-term ventilated adults and children with tracheostomies out of hospitals? Do you also think that there is strong advocacy for patients and their families who are in need of long-term ventilation? Leave your thoughts and experiences on the blog. Please also note that Intensive Care at Home has been selected as a preferred provider for Queensland Health Services as part of the recent Hospital in the Home tender. You can also contact me on 041 094 2230 if you want to know more about how Intensive Care at Home can help you, your intensive care units, and your patients and families. Thank you for tuning into this week's blog. This is Patrick Hutzel from intensivecareathome.com.au, and I'll see you again next week in another update.